Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Haley Mitchell Haugen. I am the editor of Sheila-Na-Gig Online and Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. And tonight we are here to celebrate the release of John Repp's newest collection of poems, Never Far from the Egg Harbor Ice House. I always want to say lighthouse for some reason. There must be a lighthouse there that I'm connecting to, but it's the ice house, not the not the other lighthouse. All right, and then we have readers from Sheila-Na-Gig's winter issue going to be sharing some work today as well. So, John, very excited to see you again and have you back. We're excited about his book of poems. It's been out for just about a month or so now, not too long. And since it's been out, John has the distinguished honor of placing sixth place in Ingram Sparks like bookstore seller bestseller list. So it's their own little thing that they keep track of, and he just popped up on my screen one day, and he was sixth place for that week. So his books have been selling across the United States, and we've sold some in Canada and Germany and the UK. So you've got lots of friends out there, John, and they're supporting your books. So that's really exciting. It's hard to see the cover online. You can see it a little bit. You can see the little outline of the sailboat there on the ice, right, which is really cool. And this photo has been in John's family since 1917 was the date of the photo. So we're really excited to kind of get to reproduce it and make it stand out a little bit on the cover. So the cover seems really simple, but it's got a lot of meaning, right? Because it's connected with the family, and you can see some of the boat on the back too. So really kind of neat and fun. All right, so let me read your bio here, John, to introduce you for any
Okay.
friends that may not know you. So, John Repp is a writer. He's a folk photographer and digital collagist living in Erie, Pennsylvania. He grew up along the Blackwater branch of the Maurice River in the Pine Barrens region of southern New Jersey, a time and place that has nourished his artistic practice for 50 years. His 20 books and chapbooks of poetry and fiction include The Soul of Rock and Roll, Poems, Acoustic, Electric, and Remixed 1980 through 2020 from Broadstone Books. Fat Jersey Blues, winner of the Akron Poetry Prize from the University of Akron Press, and Thirst Like This, winner of the Devens Award from the University of Missouri Press. So I'm so honored to have the opportunity to offer this collection to the world and to celebrate your work tonight, John. So welcome.
Oh, thank you, Haley. And it's an honor to be here. And I've already said to several people, maybe everybody who is here, but I'll say it again, what a beautiful job you did on the cover. The cover design just is so wonderful. And thanks to everybody for being here. I'm going to start this timer so I don't run over. I'm going to read. I've found doing the few of these that I've done. I found it better to read off the screen, so I hope that's not. Let me just push a couple of buttons here to do that. So all of these, well, I'll just start. The arc of a life. I've said the arc of a life more in the past month than in the rest of my life so far, and with good luck in what days remain. A boy in his first brogans squints at the camera, fists thrust in his Sunday knickers. In Jesus' name, a woman with bright silver hair lays hands on the lost, 50 years after letting me unbutton her red flannel shirt. We licked tears of joy from one another's cheeks and fed each other cubes of Gouda as a cold draft fluttered the blue candle's light. An old man asks, "Are you coming back?" before I leave for the last time. The strongest man in the world gasps each breath and wants to be slid into the river on a raft or given a gun and left alone a few minutes. When I say the arc of a life, I pantomime a parabola with my right hand. A girl dances in Astoria, and the boy who can't keep up plops onto a cobbler's bench. And then it's 1927, then 1956. Then a grandson the besotted boy never knew snaps a picture of his gravestone, remembering how he took extra care when he worked there to trim the long grass of the plot. With good luck, I said. Ha! I know all my loves and they me at a glance, no matter time or pain, words idiotic or profound. I'll vanish as I've been vanishing all along in this gorgeous world. Just last week, that's the title of the poem and also the first part of the first line. Just last week. Just last week, I told someone about the time I ran across the field with Dave, a frisbee flying between us, and Deanie a few minutes in the future, waving hello once we'd stopped gliding over the grass to watch her hit. We'd say, let's go hit, then grab rackets, balls, and maybe a towel. Telling the tale, I felt how it felt to fly over the ground with no thought of feet, how thinking joy kills it, while the song the word embalms hums air thick with June bugs, arc lights furred in the mist, scuff and patter on asphalt, grunt, yelp, and all the way from Brewster Road, glass packs rattle thrum, radio squawk, tire squeal, M80s in the culvert. Ah, the throb on gut of ground stroke and drop. I labored like a roofer in August to explain. Coffee cold, grin a rictus, my hands quivered as light, fearless, free, and synonyms by the regiment marched to their doom. We had we had our kid beds to fall into or haul to the salt marsh, or the pine duff midden behind any moldered chicken coop we chose. We ate our mother's meatloaf, pocketed their folded tens, breathed our father's morning shave, filled to the sensory brim every bug crammed, eel writhing, biplane rolled, sweat salted night, each confession a chance to glide this way, that way, or no way, till someone bearing our names said yes. Add us up, multiply by an imaginary number, and subtract the facts to equal the home I've built so well I'm not there. This next poem recreates, you know what? I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to read the poem. Okay. Again, the title of the poem is Convenient Worms, and it's also the first phrase of the first line. Convenient worms filled the behemoth cooler on the fresh concrete slab next to the burn barrel. Coin slot, crank, stenciled sign extolling price and quality. Chrome receptacle that cradled each boughten wax cylinder, inside which 24 night crawlers shone in peaty dark. Imagine the proprietor pulling up in the rare, crisp dusk of a summer day spent rolling past the first split levels on their beveled plots, then veering southeast to the lighthouse, the concrete elephant, and the Palace Depression, miraculously not crumbling into its constituent glass shards, marbles, and Progresso soup cans, then north for ice cream, the family plump and quiet in the lull of rumbly wheels paid for, in part, by the slick worms gone forth now to die on hooks, piercing the lower lips of crappies and bass and wizened pike with those razor teeth. Imagine filling your pockets with coins, your neon name buzzing overhead, The goods beyond the plate glass, mere shadows. A semi banging past behind you. Kids clapping as they run inside the bungalow whose every corner cut flaw you could fix if you just had the time. Wife already running the first bath as you let the screen door slap shut, worrying for now about not one thing. This poem is set during the time when, in the late 1950s, 1960s, in certain segments of America, where people would build bomb shelters in their backyards. Because if you built a bomb shelter in your backyard, um, and the bomb dropped, or the bombs dropped, as they always threatened to do, um, you would be safe after a while. You could go down into your bomb shelter and climb up in a certain period of time, and you would live your life, I guess. Anyway, this is called Plans. After the salesman had gone, under the fluorescent ring, buzzing like a hoarse child, shrouded in the fume of a fresh cigarette, our father mulled the bomb shelter we could maybe think about affording. Schematics, easy payment plans, reputable local contractors, two of whom he'd known since second grade, and doodled us five inside the design that looked best. But my God, even spread out over 10 or 15 years, the cost of concrete and steel alone could double our bungalow's footprint on the fill a builder would need to test for sufficient density. And the supplies, for how long? Three kids with nothing to do? Hon, we don't have to, our mother said, resting one cheek on a fist, the three of us itching to go watch TV. He'd planned, post-holed, sawn, shoveled, hammered, raked, pipe wrenched, and bolted everything but the house itself, none of which would come home to us till long after, how to put it. My father's hands knotted and unknotted near an iron sink piled with pots and plates 60 years ago. The rockets and jets aimed at every last us, permanent as lust. Another poem whose title runs right into the poem itself, The Salt Hay. The salt hay lined caskets, but who scythed it, bound it, piled the bundles on the wagons pulled by horses, later by tractors chugging black smoke? 4 wagons, 6, even 8, trundled down the puddled 2-tracks, snaking the meadows. To where? Salem? Loaded on flatbed cars, bound for Wilmington, Camden, across the Trestle Bridge to Philadelphia, where the carpenters tucked handfuls of hay between the casket walls and the satin tacked into pentagonal pillows so the body would rest unbruised and dignified. Who owned the land barely land? Spongy, squelching, tidal punk appall from Shiloh south, horsefly clouds through the windless summers. Who rode the punts tied to the dock tumbled over the brackish creek? Who crabbed off the bridge? Who worked the kerosene heaters, skinned the minks and muskrats, plucked the woodcock clean? Who ate the eels roasting on the rusted freezer grate? Who drove to the Egg Harbor Ice House for the blocks half melted by sunset, cream soda frosty, catfish briny, numbers totted up, moon full, though faint overhead, a damp shiver in the air, the sun squatting white and huge or bitter orange on the bay. All right, a couple of these poems, including this one that I'm going to read next, remind me that it often seems to me that poems are. Here's my one bit of poem philosophy. Um, the poems are both elegy and ode, um, praise and mourning, because the poem brings to life what's physically no longer here. Um, I think of them more as odes, actually, than because the pleasure of saying these words right now, the pleasure of having arranged them, is outweighs the maybe just barely sometimes, but outweighs the elegiac qualities of the poems. This poem is one of two in this group that I'm reading. Um, that I read in memory of an old friend who's no longer in this physical plane of existence. This one's for William Ruff, called Billy on Leave in Alaska. Billy on leave in Alaska squinted in the tense, befogged gloom, lips pursed around the joint, pinky up in stoner salute, trooper hat tilted back, fur-lined ear flaps sticking out frozen. No surprise he'd hiked so far on his first leave out of Fort Richardson. Scribble the gloating note to those who hadn't broken free enough to do something other than think themselves wizened at 20, working shit jobs in the flatlands, humping scavenged furniture from cellar to flat to insulated chicken coop to dorm room to attic to cellar again. Hear his reedy voice. Hear him giggle at visions made real. Hear him dote on comic books, hunch over the receiver like a safecracker till the stolen Jensens made our sternums hum, tie his hair back when the poker got serious. Here's where years later usually comes. But Billy deserves to stay in Alaska, chewing the dried salmon the guide sold him, sipping whiskey for warmth, naming for his new friends the mountains they see out the tent's mouth. I'll read two more poems. This one, um, I'll indulge a prop. It'll make sense of a kind, I hope, when I read this. The first line. This is a called Poem beginning with a line from Fernando Pessoa. Now, Fernando Pessoa was Portuguese, so the line here is not in Portuguese, it's in English. Poem beginning with a line from Fernando Pessoa. As long as fate permits, I'll go on smoking, whether Trisha's father's pipe packed with no brand rag on the red house porch after the big snow, or the Faber-Castell 2B, with which I mime camels and strike anywhere matches, or the Winstons that dropped into the tray once I'd inserted 2 quarters and pulled the knob and heard the rattly clanking. Remember stripping the cellophane, peeling the foil, tapping the pack on the first knuckle of the left hand, lighting the first fresh one up, hunching back into the rain to pump $1 of high test to quiet the valve clatter Joe said he'd investigate but never did? Or the candy luckies or the cheroots that fit the West I gazed upon out the train window, sleepless, forlorn, and heartbroken, as only a 25-year-old can convince himself he is, or truly is, with Sacramento the next stop and home in his pockets. Hold the butt lid end down and watch the smoke furl between the fingers. You can really think then. And I'll stub out my fake cigarette. This poem is in memory of and in an ode to, in praise of my friend David Graham, my oldest friend as it happens. We knew each other when we were 6 or 7, since we were 6 or 7 until he died. So this is the last poem I'll read. Thank you for listening, watching. In the Pines. In a canvas rucksack, he totes grief's rootstock and the overripe avocado-ish fruit of the go-along, get-along tree. Deep in the pines, his carpe diem friend setting the pace along the packed sand trail. Rumor of rivers scenting the Venus hot air. Horsefly crowns of thorns bouncing on both their heads. Sweat coursing down their crisping torsos and crimson legs. Sneakers damp and flexing. And there comes a clearing near a river bend where they drop everything and step naked into willow-hooped shade. Find the channel neck deep and narrow, and bob up and under an uncounted span of cool, purling bliss among water skaters, white butterflies, moss, and watercress, echoic blurts of gut bucket gratitude without end. Thank you. And I will now get out of
Thank
this.
you.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Voices from Beyond. Thank you so much, John. It's great to
Thank you.
revisit these poems and hear you share them. Been looking forward to this for a while, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are celebrating John Repp's collection, Never Far from the Egg Arbor Ice House. Available now from Sheila-Na-Gig Editions, so you can check us out. So thank you so much. We will segue now into our invited mic reading. We have a collection of poets from Sheila-Na-Gig Online's winter issue, and we will be starting with John Palen, who is also one of our Sheila-Na-Gig Editions authors. So take it away from Illinois, John.
Okay, it is great to be here. Thank you, John Repp, for those rich, rich poems. Those were wonderful. I'm looking forward to the book. The first one I'll read was in the winter Sheila-Na-Gig online, and it's called Grounding. Late one night in the dorm, lonely and stuck on a piece of writing, I stood up from my desk, walked out with the clothes on my back, of 20 in my pocket, and hitchhiked across Missouri to see you. Rode most of the way with a vacationing sheriff from Otero County, New Mexico, who over cokes and cigarettes in the glow of the dashboard told me about his jurisdiction, that it was bigger than 3 American states, most of it a single cattle ranch, that people have lived there for 11,000 years, that Trinity, the first atomic bomb, was detonated there. Let me off at dawn at a country road, and I walked a few miles on wet, grassy shoulders amid birdsong and ripening corn until a farmer who recognized me took me the rest of the way in his pickup, and you and I had breakfast together. And I spent most of the 20 on bus fare and a trolley ride back, watched the city lights come on as day morphed into evening, sat down at my desk and wrote. And the second one, poem about doing the laundry. Thank you, hello, goodbye. I did the laundry alone. They came in families, men in backward ball caps, lugging baskets in and out, sitting together, playing games on their phones. Women in ankle-length red wraparounds loading the machines, talking, laughing, singing to themselves as the clothes tumble. Children who haven't caught up yet with the size of their eyes, drawing pictures, holding the door for me, practicing their English. Thank you, hello, goodbye. One Monday they were gone. Thank you.
Okay, that means I'm next. Since we have to tell everybody where we come from, I am reading for you from Lima, Peru. I'm a German-born Brit. I pay taxes in Spain, and I married a Peruvian, and that's why I'm here. So my first poem, I read the Sheila-Na-Gig one from the winter issue. And that is a very Peruvian poem because Peru has part of the Amazon, and it's getting very hot and it's getting very sticky, and we're getting mosquitoes and fevers. And this is about the dengue, which they call breakbone because it hurts all over. It is really very painful. Delirium in the Amazon Delta. I feel like a huge old tree suddenly felled by an unexpected event. I hear the word dengue become the rushes of a movie, breakbone. By the tall strangler fig, a man carefully brushes his big yellow teeth while foam emerging from his nostrils, white foam emerging from his nostrils. A black creature in a tux shoots its cuffs. Roots drill into wet, loamy earth. Damp is rising. My skin is ice. Giant mushrooms unfold all over my body with soft kisses. Bone breaker. A dog-eared gossip mag is reading me. Rita Hayworth suffered from halitosis. Clark Gable took out his teeth when he didn't like his co-star. A tone-deaf friend plays the violin on the sideboard in the music teacher's house. It's been raining steadily. Water spatters against my fever eyes, which are still being shaped by the glass blower. And number 2 is, of course, not from Sheila-Na-Gig. It's called The Poet. She'd seen the young cowherd. Someone had called him poet. Said he recited long words and sentences to the ruminants on the high meadows. It was like chanting, they said, incantations perhaps, and his cows produced more milk than anyone had ever seen. She saw that he was beautiful. Why are you herding? She knew, of course, but needed his attention. It's a job, he said. Aren't you lonely? I'm no good with people, he answered. There was nothing to say to that. The girl had been too shy to speak until the cowherd lifted her with his beauty, and he had been content until she vexed him with her question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robert Manaster. I'm also from, as John Palen, I'm also from East Central Illinois. So the first poem I'm going to read is from Sheila-Na-Gig. Oh, and thank you so much, Haley, for putting all this together and the wonderful issues. I really appreciate it. Okay, the first poem is titled Getting There. In this adult league of middling dads, how a gloveless fielder will push off from hands and knees, springing for the ball and getting to it in seconds, I'll never know. I let my bat hit the plate and bounce until at rest, then lift the heavy wood to rest upon my shoulder. It's our last at bat. the days holding on to a half-sunken orange sun. And in the muggy air, my grip tightens, arms tense, knees ache. My legs are not what they used to be. I'm looking to the bent-ready pitcher who loosely palms that 16-inch softball. I'm in the game. I'll hit. I'll run down to first. Reaching there before the ball is like the day's last swig of ale and light. And my next poem is a short one. It has a little epigraph. It's from Genesis 19:20, a little place. It references the place that Lot and his family are going to flee to, not to the mountains, but to this little place, this city. And the title is called "A Blue Palm Has Spread Over the Cracked Dry Shelf." And that's the first line of the poem. A blue palm has spread over the cracked dry shelf. What? Oh, sorry, let me start it again. Sorry. A blue palm has spread over the cracked dry shelf. A little place from Genesis 19:20. A blue palm has spread over the cracked dry shelf. What is the sound of tears dried out? Pitter-patter the mind goes. Slump goes the body. Go forward, she hears God. Let's get out of here. She hears others nearby. Her feet spark. She holds water, the wobbly heat in a pail. She loves and knows it will not end by itself. In her heart, she holds their raw cries and hers, and hears their migrant tales. She cannot bear to be told again not to look back for them. Look, there's just no other way for her to love. Thank you.
Yes, I think I am next. My name is Dolo Diaz, and thank you so much for having me here. It's a true honor. Thank you, John Repp, for the amazing poems that got us started. I am new to poetry. My day job is as a scientist, and I started writing poetry less than a year ago, in fact. I'm originally from Spain. English is my second language, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I am very excited and a bit intimidated by being among what I call real poets. My first poem is the one published by Sheila-Na-Gig. Thank you, Haley, for publishing this poem and also for taking a chance on new voices. The title of the poem is The Pearwood Recorder. A varnished tree from the past, a keeper of the sounds in tubular form. Gracious curves, craftsman work, laid to rest in the original cardboard box. Carved out of pear wood, thinking back, I must have tasted the sweetness of the fruit. I'm 6 years old again, surprised I can cover the finger holes. In the box, yellow music sheets, fat belly notes in faded blue marker, just half a dozen songs, all I could play. But those are hedged so deep that I can still play them 50 years later and not knowing music. The only gift from my father. The pearwood remembers his touch when he gave it to me. I caress it in my hands, hold it to my lips, position my mouth on the scratches of long-lost baby teeth. Nothing in my life has lasted this long. It may as well be a fossil, a relic. It may as well be a receptacle for the umbilical cord. 6 years old again, the fingers stretching in familiar ways to cover the finger holes. And the second poem is, the title of this poem is The Bag of Popcorn. And it was published in the Brussels Review this fall. The Bag of Popcorn. She was getting on the bus with a gigantic bag of popcorn, and the bus door closed on her arm, only the bag inside the bus, and the popcorn flew all over. You would tell the story and laugh and laugh and laugh. I no longer remember your face telling the story, and I was never in that bus, but some wisp of light enters my cornea, pierces the crystalline lens, and lands in my retina, and it rattles the rods and cones, just like the bag of popcorn. And it then brushes against some remote groove in my brain, and I see and see and see that popcorn flying like congealed snowflakes, and I shake and shake and shake with laughter and longing. Thank you very much.
Well, hello, folks. My name is Stephen Shields, and I'm in near Atlanta, Georgia, originally from the Midwest. The first poem I'd like to read is the one that was published in Sheila-Na-Gig. I want to show you something quickly, though, before I get to that, and that's this particular painting, or a picture of it. It's called The Bathers, and it hangs in the Augusta, Georgia museum. And one thing that's kind of notable about this particular painting is that there are no expressions on anyone's faces, which frees your imagination to provide some thinking. And so that's where this poem came from. It's called The Bathers. What are we to make of these mute and elegant bathers, those reclining faceless figures near the waves, not here for bathing in the ocean, but the sun? What do their unseen picnic baskets hold, their glinting flasks, so quick to rise in rapid salute to Almighty Sol? Where are the parents of that young boy so near the water, a wave imminent? Who checks beneath that beach umbrella from which only 3 legs protrude? Where is the jug-eared ice cream vendor, the village roustabout, the homeless drifter, eyeing the happy multitude from his perch atop a boulder out of the frame, quietly sizing them up to see whose wallet lies unattended, but inviting, as the pain flares monotonously in stomach, mind, and needled arm? The painter does not allow us to see this mischief, yet we know full well it lies among us and along us, and perhaps it even lies within us, near enough to guard against it. And so this moment, caught in time, is not so much a verity as it is illusion, a moment when we simply lie in peace in something like forgetfulness, enjoy the waves, the breeze, the sun's warmth as it radiates across the sand and bounces back across the sails of passing pleasure craft, bathing at our leisure in contentment as we wash away our many hopes and cares, our fading dreams, despair. This second poem I would like to read is from my book that I'll put up in the comments if you're interested in. It's about my father, who passed away about 15 years ago, and it took me quite some time to compose this. And I finally chose this particular poem to form in American Sentences, Allen Ginsberg's American Sentences. It's called Shades of Blue. Though he came through the operation, my father is losing his fight. Sedated and in a coma, he thrashes around at times in pain. I stand beside his hospital bed, try to hold his hand a moment. Dad, I tell him sotto voce, Dad, it's me. Try to relax, okay? One pale blue watery eye flutters open upon hearing my voice. There is a single flash of recognition. Then it slowly closes. It closes, a shade falling between us, a world evaporating. The clicks and hums of whispering machines soon fail him and fall silent. They dress him in blue, his favorite color, French blue shirt, navy cap. Even his coffin is blue, a light metallic shade of robin's egg. The rain lashed and lashed the mausoleum the day of his interment. The day I depart, the skies are scrubbed clean to a hard and silent blue. Thank you.
Hello, I'm David Schast. I'm in my car. I live just outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And like Dolo, I really started writing poetry about a year ago, maybe a little year and a half, after 40 years of not writing. And this, I have two new ones. First one's called Poetry Reading. If you don't mind, I'm tired today. That cold metal chair looks comfortable to this old brittle gray hair. Eyes like overwet rags above a mustached mouth folded on itself. The triangle flap of an unlicked envelope bobbing up and down at every gentle puff of breath. My knuckles, knees, and notepaper rustle, creak, and rasp with every unfolding fidget, crease, and cough. Along with my dusty spectacles and frowsy corduroy, all of me sounds an early notice, an intermission's chiming before I start to clear my throat. You all have followed me and know how my poems plod. Schuylkill River clay pudding, animated like a muddy, drab Gumby, climbing over my bottom teeth with a taste like burnt firewood and cough medicine. You're glad you could attend. I have something new today. Still, I've said these several yesterdays. None but tumescent, dry, clean cheeks dripping, an ancient torture wearing away the poet. This sullen sandstone man. Pause. Applause. Applause. And then this second one is not quite so frivolous, I guess. I don't know. This one's called Swallowing. You've been around that guy too long, so long. You can't see your fingertips anymore, and your fingerprints are already gone, smoothed over, blurred out by his crummy lens, his camera with glaucoma, or Coke bottle glasses, or some disease he was born with that narrows and is something contagious, something you caught. And now you can't decide what kind of milk to buy. Can't remember how you used to play. Or that my fingerprints are still smudged in that earliest place inside you. The lovely wild place you told to be quiet, be good. The place where you swallowed yourself. So long now. Thank you.
I'm Marjorie Maddox from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to John. And I'm going to read two sonnets, one which has an epigraph for January 6th and one that has an epigraph for January 7th. So this first one is from my book, Begin with a Question. And some of you may know this one, called Epiphany. January 6, 2021. And so they rush the steps and bash the doors. With windows smashed, the winter light breaks in. Forgotten is the frankincense, the myrrh, the gold the wise men brought. Instead, our kin or neighbors storm the halls. We recognize their faces, tense with hate. In different form, they look a bit like us. Yet we surmise this mob that waves its flags, together swarms toward House or Senate, cannot live so near. We say hello on walks. They guard our homes. This is the hard epiphany we fear. The ones we loathe and love might be the same. And that bright star, we find the manger bare, except for all our anger swaddled there. And the second one will be coming out at the end of the month in my book, Have Her Here, from Broadstone Books. And as you may remember, on January 7th, 2023, Tyree Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was fatally injured by 5 black officers in Memphis, Tennessee, and then he died 3 days later. Memphis. With cameras on, they aim their fists. He screams, "What reason?" He pleads. The armed men explain nothing. They are the law. Their actions need no meaning, no spoken explanation of the rage that beats and pounds. The others stand in silence, or worse, look down, chit-chat about the latest game. He calls mother. Someone props him up, snaps a pic. Like that, a man becomes a corpse. 3 days, he's dead, no rising from the blood. The ones who swore to guard and serve, just murderers instead. They claimed he fled. The watching cameras bore another story. Even so, the men cite innocence. And here we are, again. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. Hello, everyone. I'm Judith Sornberger. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Sheila-Na-Gig for hosting this event after one of our own, a poet, was recently killed in Minneapolis. And I am so grateful that we are here to share poems together tonight. So the first poem I'm going to read is the one that is in the current issue of Sheila-Na-Gig Online. It's called Midwife, for Nancy, 13 years later. Excuse me. I don't think I could have borne those last weeks without you walking beside me toward my love's death, driving 2 hours to the hospital where I slept in a nightmare of lights on a chair beside him, following the labyrinth of hallways with me till we finally found the womb-like chapel. I'm sorry. I'm kind of emotional. The womb-like chapel, softly lit by gleaming gold letters inscribed on the black marble wall. Because there was still a shred of hope, we sat holding hands, alone in the tomb-like silence, reading aloud the words glowing before us. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. But what I spoke was a lie. I am so sorry. I wanted a lot. I wanted the dark echo of the doctor's prognosis to stop ringing like bells for the dead in my ears. I wanted him never to suffer. I wanted to jump from the highest story of that building. I wanted him never to leave me. But the psalm didn't offer those options. And I didn't want to lie down in any pasture in this world without his body beside mine. On what would be his last day, when you offered to lay your small star-like hands on him to do energy work, I said, oh yes, oh please, willing for once to turn him over to another woman's touch. I watched you lay your palms and fingers on his forehead, then inches above his skin, follow the contours of his body all the way down to his feet that I'd massaged with ginger oil just hours before. When you closed your hands over his long, bony toes, the labored breathing we'd endured hearing all morning, ha, 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 finally eased, and you handed him back to me for a brief kiss on his cheek before he found the portal you'd opened, and we all exhaled. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you for sharing that. And for all of our invited mic poets, thank you. And to Barbara Sable, who curated our winter edition, many, many thanks for all your work. And many thanks to our featured reader, John Repp. We are celebrating Never Far from the Egg Harbor Ice House. So you can find John's books and other books by Sheila-Na-Gig edition authors and all of our online issues at Sheila-Na-Gig-blog.com. And we have lots of readings on Thursday, so keep coming back. You can check our website for our dates. The next 3 Thursdays in January are filled up with some fabulous readers. We've got Christine Williams from Athens, Ohio on the 15th. And Jeff Burt, who's here listening today, his reading is going to be on January 22nd. He's from Northern California. And then we have Kirsten Christensen from Sitka, Alaska, reading on January 29th. So all across the nation, we've got some amazing Sheila-Na-Gig writers out there ready to share their work. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Love to see you.